Hey everybody, what is going on? It's your boys, izlogic.business, welcoming you to this weekend's predictions for the LCS Week 2 and the LEC Week 4. We've got 25 burning matches to cover this week, and oh boy, I am raring and ready to go. But before we get into this weekend's games, as well as the pain and misery that's going to be following that up on the Saturday, let us go over the results for last weekend's games. So, let us get into our results, and we'll start off in the LCS. Finally, we're talking about this region in terms of results for last week's predictions, and I'll be honest, we did exceptionally well. 11 out of 15 matches correct. And to me, that is a huge standard, especially considering the fact that we dropped most of them on day number 1, with some huge upsets there as well. TSM losing to FlyQuest, Immortals beating Team Liquid is a huge upset considering we didn't know what the state of IMT's roster was coming into the LCS, but it looks very, very strong to say the least. And lastly, CLG losing out to Dig. Obviously, that was a toss-up matchup between them two teams, in my opinion, because it was a very even set of teams. As for the other game that we dropped, that was on the second day, as Golden Guardians beat Immortals in a upset fashion, and that basically ruined our prediction for the perfect day. And we did technically get a perfect day on the third day. I keep thinking there's only 2 days still in the LCS, but on the third day we got a perfect 5 out of 5, so we're good there for our prediction. As for the LEC, we actually didn't do terrible there either. 7 out of 10, only dropping 3 matches in total. The first being Rogue losing to Schalke, and Schalke are some sort of giant killers this year, which is a bit of a shock to say the least. We thought maybe they'd be struggling like they usually do, but no, they're beating the big teams this year, and that is a big thing to say. Other matches that we dropped, Excel beating SK. That was a matchup that I really am not happy about SK losing, because I put 2 players from their team into my fantasy team, so there's that. Also, G2 losing to Fnatic. Again, I wasn't expecting the resurgence from Fnatic to be so strong as they take down G2. That in total gives us 7 out of 10. And overall, we're doing very good in terms of predictions this year, dropping about 7 games in total, I do believe, in the LEC, and only 4 in the LCS. But without further ado, rambling on about last week's results is over and done with. Let us get into the 25 games this week. So let us kick off this video with the LCS. 100 Thieves FlyQuest is the first game scheduled in on our paper, and to me, I can only go one way with this. Yes, these two teams have been kind of shaky during the opening week of the LCS, but I'm going 100 Thieves here over FlyQuest, and I feel that realistically, FlyQuest don't have the same strength on paper, but to me it could be one of these really close matches that goes in favor of the team that I don't choose. Our second matchup, I want to say, will be a stomp, but I don't think it will be considering how they performed in week 1. TLCLG is the matchup I am on about, and TL are the team that I'm expecting to stomp and who I've gone with here. But I don't think they will, considering CLG have been a bit plucky against some of the teams they've faced. And as a whole, I feel this could be a very explosive matchup, one of which that could end in a throw. EG and C9 are the third matchup this weekend in the LCS, and to me, this could be a very close affair between these two lines, because this is just one of them matches that just ends randomly. Like, you don't expect the finish to be coming, because they'll just explode out of nowhere, because these two teams are very volatile. When they hit the rift, they love to engage and scrap with one another. And obviously we did last weekend the EG matchup as our Anarchy Analysis matchup of the week. And that was a very volatile affair between them and FlyQuest that realistically was just an unexpected win for them, because they just sprung the trap on Fly and beat them when they needed to in the fights. And these two teams are both like that, but which one will be superior? I have gone for, in this matchup, a C9 win, though I wouldn't be surprised if EG managed to just out-surprise C9. TSM Golden Guardians, I'm going with a bit of a stomp here in favour of TSM as my predictions. But this is one of the matchups that yet again could go either way, because TSM have been a bit flip-floppy this year and narrowly beat CLG thanks to their early game control of the Drakes. That essentially forced the split-pushing comp that CLG went for to group up and kind of relinquish control of the game to TSM, and that as a whole is not very good. And as such, TSM haven't looked strong at all this year, even though people predicted and touted them to be a top 4 team. But Golden Guardians, people don't think are good at all. They're basically all rookies coming into the stage, and there's probably one player who isn't, but I would honestly say this right now, I feel TSM should stomp Golden Guardians here. And now, it is time for the first Anarchy Analysis matchup of the week. Dignitas taking on Immortals. And this is a matchup that I was waiting for. These two teams as a whole are very interesting. Immortals, we got our first lick in last weekend of how they perform, and surprisingly they took down Team Liquid in their opening game that not many people thought what they would do. As for Dignitas, they're being very good in my opinion. They're mechanically sound. Granted, there's a few hiccups here and there because some of the players aren't used to the LCS stage, but players like Dardoch are people that you want to watch and cast every week, because so far he has not repeated a champion this year, meaning he's whipped out in 3 games during the LCS, 3 different champions, and in the logging tournament I do believe he had the same thing where he's never played the same champion twice. That to me is a huge thing to accomplish so far, especially when the jungle pool many consider to be realistically 4 champions, and that's Olaf, Talia, Pantheon and Udyr on patch 11.2. But as I say, once we get further and further into these weeks, the champion pools for the jungle are going to change considerably when the Gore Drinker effective change comes in. Then I feel the likes of the Pantheon and the Olaf are going to drop considerably in priority. So there'll be more picks coming back into the meta, and hopefully he brings out something insane for our Anarchy Analysis matchup. As for our actual prediction here, I've gone with Dignitas overall. I feel stylistically into Immortals this is a close matchup, but I feel that the mechanics and the skill on the players on Dig is slightly higher than what they are on Immortals. Now we get into our matches scheduled for the pain and misery day of February the 13th. We've got CLG and FlyQuest as the opening matchup for that day, and I'm going with a CLG win. The first win that I'm going to predict for CLG this week, and honestly, they've got a tough week. They've got Team Liquid day 1, FlyQuest day 2, and then their probably easiest matchup of the week is Golden Guardians on day 3. But to me, I feel that this is a matchup they can win, and they should win. They need to win it. That's for damn sure to be in contention for the spring playoff tourney that they're having. But to me, I feel that CLG did very well against TSM and didn't deserve to lose. But FlyQuest are an upsy-downsy sort of team. I've got a lot of faith in them to do well, but I don't think they will do too well this year. And I've gone with a CLG win here just to kind of balance the internal mindset on how I feel about FlyQuest. Honestly, day 2 to me is an absolute banger of a day for the LCS. The matches that are showing up here, as our second matchup is a C9 versus 100 Thieves matchup. I am very intrigued by, as these two teams, both semi-finalists at least in the lock-in tournament, one of them obviously made the grand finals, and I'm confused as to who I feel would win this head-to-head. Stylistically, this favours C9, but I feel that 100 Thieves can show up and actually do some work here and kind of redeem themselves against the C9 roster that beat them during that lock-in tournament. And to me, you've got to put eyes on the top lane. I've covered in my TLC9 matchup when we covered it, and how Alfari was the playpoint for Team Liquid. That's sort of the similar thing for 100 Thieves, except Sunday gets a bit less put into him, as he just is able to dominate the lane by his skill. Granted, Alfari does the same, but it is a matchup that favours 100 Thieves in that top lane, as Fudge isn't considered one of the best top laners in the league just yet. He is considered a rookie, however, and I feel that Sunday's going to take him to school here with the rest of the 100 Thieves lineup, and 100 Thieves are beating C9 here. People like it when I keep it short and sweet. Dig Golden Guardians. Dignitas wins. Mechanics, baby. TSM, Team Liquid, a long storied rivalry between these two teams now, and this is probably the best and most hyped matchup for me on day number 2. And as a whole, I've gone with a Team Liquid win. That's going to be obvious. I just feel that TSM are outclassed by Team Liquid, and we saw that during lock-in. But as I say that, TSM have been sort of up and down in terms of performance. Realistically, they deserve to be lower than where they are right now, but if they keep the traction going, if they keep rolling through wins, this could be a matchup that they can take eventually. They've got 5 chances at it in the LCS. This is chance 1. If that doesn't work, keep rolling, keep moving, gain momentum. Maybe next time. But for here, I've gone with a Team Liquid win. That's obvious. I just feel they outclass in every position. TSM here, the only place I would say it's close is the mid lane. But then again, Jensen's showing his worth this year and is stepping up for that Team Liquid roster. The last matchup for Pain and Misery Day is Immortals and Evil Geniuses. And I'm not gonna say I've gone for Evil Geniuses here. I'm predicting an upset. Immortals yet again beating a top 3 team in my opinion, and smashing EG across the map. Jungle is where we're gonna keep our eyes for this matchup. Sven Skaren, who is a former MVP of the LCS, taking on Xerxes, who is probably one of the best junglers from in Europe last year. Not during the summer split. I'd say in spring split he was probably one of the best junglers in the league. And as a whole, these two players, I feel, are gonna step up for their rosters and showcase why they're so good. And to me, I feel that Xerxes will outshine Svenskeren in this matchup, create a lot of plays for his team, and get them ahead in order to win against this Evil Geniuses lineup. Our last set of 5 matches for the LCS is kicked off, with 100 Thieves and Team Liquid on Rift. And to me, this is a big matchup. 100 Thieves have a lot of difficult opponents this weekend, probably the hardest set of games this week, and they go from both finalists of the lock-in tournament through to essentially FlyQuest as their thing. So they've got a lot of difficult opponents this weekend. Do I feel that they're going to beat all of them? Damn straight. I've gone for a 3-0 week for 100 Thieves here, and this is going to cement why they should be a top 3 team for pretty much everyone's predictions this year. And TL versus 100 Thieves, you look at the top lane, yet again I say something about the top lane between 100 Thieves and whoever they're facing. This time, it's a very different matchup to Fudge. Sunday versus Alfari, the 2 best top laners NA has right now. They're not even American. Let's just make that straight. These 2 tops are going to be instrumental into how their team plays. And to me, if we don't see a carry versus carry matchup in that top lane, they're not giving it their all, that's for damn sure. If we see a tank, maybe, I would be a bit more forgivable, but it should be carry versus carry top lane. And that's how it should stay. I've gone with the 100 Thieves win, as I've hinted towards. I just feel that you look at the stylistical matchup between every player on this game. The closest place for each team, I would honestly say, is the bot lane. FBI and Huhi versus Tactical and Core JJ. Granted, there is quite a big rift between the 2 teams, but I feel that this is an interesting matchup as well, like the top lane. Mid lane, I'm a bit more meh, because it's 2 players who control mage. That's basically their style, unless DeMonte decides to pull out an assassin. He's more likely to out of the 2 of them. But to me, it's a close matchup. I've gone with 100 Thieves. Don't be surprised if TL win. I don't like predicting some of these games because they are what I would like to call a bit throwable. And week 1, I was very miffed by some of the match results. Obviously, teams are getting accustomed to the different setting to how the lock-in tournament was played. As teams are a bit more focused, game times have been dramatically increased from the loosey-goosey lock-in tournament stages, and to me, that shows a lot about these teams that are taking part. And realistically, when it comes to this matchup, Immortals taking on TSM, I honestly feel that this is another throw matchup between these 2 lineups. It can go either way, and one team could quite literally throw, and I've gone with a TSM win. Stylistically, it's a close matchup, and I honestly want to put focus in that jungle for this one yet again. Xerxes versus Speaker. Speaker last year was considered a rookie, even though he had played in playoffs before. He didn't theoretically class as a rookie, but he was in his rookie year, in my opinion. To me, when you've got Speaker, who was very strong and being a focal point for TSM last year, he's now getting more resources put into him, being the main sort of guy on the TSM roster that's just not at the high enough stage just yet. I feel that Xerxes is going to test him, and test them hard. But I don't think the testing will be enough to make Speaker lose, and as such I've gone for a TSM win. The 13th matchup of 25 this weekend is Evil Geniuses taking on Dignitas. As a whole, it's a throwable matchup. I've said this quite a lot. It's a close match because it is week 2. Teams are performing better than what they were, and I honestly feel this matchup is Evil Geniuses on paper and who I've gone for, but Dignitas have been up there in terms of performances. They can upset anyone. And I honestly think they're going to show off during this matchup, as it is two junglers who are considered very... I feel that Dardoch is the mechanical and leader of this Dig roster alongside Avromoon, but he does sometimes int quite heavily, like in his last game on the Rengar, he inted quite bad, and as a whole was not able to get going on that pick, and in the end lost that game. Whether or not Evil Geniuses tilt him enough during this matchup is uncertain, but I feel that EG have enough to just destroy Dignitas and get their first win this weekend in terms of predictions for me. C9 Fly, I honestly think could be close, but I've gone with C9. C9 are just very strong in the current meta. Perks is finally showing up for the LCS split, and he is showing off on his picks. I remember, well, last weekend he got his Yone yet again. He didn't int, that's for damn sure. He showed off on that pick and did a lot of work for his roster, allowing them to pick up an easy win. So, whether or not he gets his Yone yet again, I don't know, but I feel that it's going to be a good performance whatever he gets this weekend, and it's going to absolutely decimate FlyQuest here and pick up a 2-1 weekend for his roster. And finally, before we fade into the LEC, we have Golden Guardians taking on CLG as the last matchup for this weekend. And to me, this is a matchup that I probably would skip if I didn't watch every single matchup. I don't think this is going to be very entertaining, though it will be close. And I've gone with CLG here. I just don't think Golden Guardians can muster up enough energy to carry some success that they got last weekend into this week. And I feel that CLG should just sweep them away, even if they are using a sub jungler still, because Broxer has visa issues. Anyway, that's the end of the LCS. Let us get the flames of the LEC rolling on the side of your screens and get into our first predictions over there. Let us get over to the LEC for our first game over there. Schalke Astralis. These two teams I always have considered to be very similar in playstyles. Back when Astralis was obviously Origin, these two teams are kind of considered top 4 teams when they were in form. And right now, Schalke are the ones in form. And to me, I feel Schalke should win this matchup. So, let's get into our second matchup, and this is an interesting one, as it is Vitality taking on XL. Why am I saying this is interesting? Well, Vitality have got a new ADC in the name of Crownshot. This guy is absolutely fantastic, and he is going to need some time to adjust to his new environment and get used to the team he's playing, because it was only just announced on the Thursday, or the Wednesday, whatever day, that he'd be joining the roster, and right now he's probably not had that much time to get accustomed and adjusted to this lineup, whereas XL, who they're going up against, while aren't very good at getting a gold lead, they are very strong and very good at what they do. Now, coming into this matchup, I would honestly say it is XL winning, but Vitality could actually upset them here. Misfits and G2, our third matchup, and I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Misfits have looked very dodgy through each performance. G2 need to bounce back against their loss to Fnatic, and why not do it against a Misfits team that's struggling? That's how I've gone with G2 winning. Second to last matchup on the Friday, it is Mad and Rogue as our Anarchy Analysis matchup of the week. These two teams coming in the first and second seed last LEC summer split, and now they're battling in the regular split of 2021 with new rosters who are looking very terrifying to come up against. And to me, this matchup can only go one way. I've gone with Rogue. I just feel that they've slightly got the better of the rosters, but only time will tell, as it's time for them to face off for the first time this year. Our final matchup on Friday is Fnatic and SK, two teams who are doing quite good. SK less so, but Fnatic are on the rise right now, just defeating G2 last weekend and coming into this one on probably some sort of high, and as such I have to go with them in their very gruesome fight whenever possible style. Let us get into the pain and misery day in the LEC, and we kick it off with a very interesting matchup, SK Vitality. Why am I saying this is so interesting? It is Crownshot versus his former team that dropped him, and this is his chance to prove to the world why he's a superstar ADC and showcase that he shouldn't have been dropped by SK. I, for one, feel that this matchup is gonna go to SK though, but it is a close one, and as a whole I would say we could see Vitality picking up the win here. Did somebody say Misfits and Astralis hitting the rift now for our 22nd game this weekend, and overall it's a close one. Two teams that are up and down in their performances, but I've gone with Astralis here. I just feel that they'll narrowly scrape it against Misfits, who have been looking rocky and basically have been fluking since week 1. Schalke versus Mad Lions as our third matchup on the pain and misery day. Overall, this is a matchup that's going to be close, it's going to be fierce, and going to be fighting hard because Mad Lions were the team that knocked Schalke out of playoffs last year. Do I think they'll beat them in the regular split? No, I think Schalke are winning this one, but Mad could possibly upset them and could quite literally do a lot of damage to Schalke's hopes of making playoffs this year. Fnatic and XL are second to last matchup this weekend. Overall, it is a interesting matchup between these two rosters because XL are a team that does well against bigger orgs, and this is the battle of the British teams. Both lineups are UK based, and as a whole, I feel this is going to be interesting, but there's only realistically one clear winner here. Fnatic are beating XL, hands down. By far they're the better team, they've been looking better throughout the weeks, and realistically should be picking up an easy win here. And finally, it is the LEC's matchup of the week. G2 taking on Rogue. These two teams came out of the blocks flying this year, going undefeated until last weekend or the weekend before for G2. But this matchup is to determine who sits atop of the table more so than ever, as there's one win separating these two teams. Now, to me, I feel this is going to be an interesting clash. Both teams have very good rosters this year, but who do I think wins this best of one? I've gone with Rogue. I'm predicting a Rogue win here over G2. Hopefully they do that and keep my predictions correct, but G2 are that sort of team that will throw whenever they want to, and they could in theory throw this game away. Who knows? Only time will tell, as we'll get into the last game of the week that rounds out my pain and misery day very nicely. And with that, all 25 predictions are done and dusted. Let us end this video off here. Please follow me on Twitter. I post a lot of stuff about the League of Legends games that we see and all the games that I have predicted. If you enjoyed this part, leave a like down below, subscribe if you're new if you want to, and I will see you guys next week with our results and predictions for the next set of games. Peace out.